Welcome to From the Pages of Inside Wrestling, February 1977. And this is one of those issues that absolutely matters because it captures pro wrestling right at the moment where confidence, controversy, and chaos are all colliding at once. With champions questioning their futures, promoters testing the limits of believability, and a magazine that is openly daring the business to answer questions it would rather ignore. And in the next 10 minutes, we are talking secret pacts, dangerous maneuvers, emotional ultimatums, bold title predictions, locker room truths, and some absolutely wild ads that tell you exactly what kind of era this was. So buckle up, because this one does not ease you in. It comes out swinging. Right from the jump, Editor in Chief Peter King sets the tone in the editor's notebook, flat out telling readers this may be one of the strongest issues Inside Wrestling has ever produced, and he does not hedge his bets because he openly flags multiple stories that he knows will cause backlash, especially the long research piece questioning whether there is a secret pact between Bruno Sammartino and Mr. Wrestling 2, a story he says took more than 8 months to investigate. And that alone tells you this magazine is not interested in playing it safe. It wants to provoke, and that theme runs through the entire issue like a live wire. That sense of pulling the curtain back continues immediately with Behind the Dressing Room Door by Randy Gordon, where Terry Funk is positioned as the ultimate traveling champion, a man who refuses to sit still, refuses to hibernate, and refuses to duck challengers, with Gordon laying out Funk's brutal schedule and his defenses across continents, presenting Funk not as a myth, but as a working, grinding, constantly tested champion, and Funk himself leans into that image, talking about remaining champion for a long time, about winning people over not with talk but with results. And the piece quietly reinforces why Funk is featured so heavily elsewhere in the issue, because this magazine clearly sees him as the axis everything else is turning around. Then comes one of the issue's emotional gut punches. Andre the Giant wants to quit wrestling, and only you can stop him. A feature that frames Andre not as an unbeatable monster, but as a weary attraction, questioning whether the grind is worth it anymore. And the hook is simple but devastating. Andre says he will keep wrestling if the fans want him to, which turns the reader into an active participant, not just a spectator. And it is one of those classic magazine tactics that blurs reality and storyline just enough to make you feel responsible. And if this section hits you, drop a comment later and tell me whether this kind of emotional appeal worked on you when you were a fan. From there, the issue dives straight into mystery and manipulation with just how many executioners are there. A story that openly suggests tag team continuity may be built on smoke and mirrors, raising the idea that multiple men may have cycled through the executioner's masks. And the article does not offer clean answers, it offers suspicion, doubt, and the uncomfortable idea that fans may have been cheering an illusion, which again fits perfectly with this issue's obsession with questioning what is real. That questioning ramps up even further with the confidential report asking whether there is a secret pact between Bruno Sammartino and Mr. Wrestling 2. A piece designed not to prove guilt but to make you look sideways at power structures in wrestling, at who benefits, who aligns with whom, and how much of what fans see is truly competitive versus quietly coordinated behind the scenes. And whether you believe it or not, the fact that this magazine is willing to print it tells you everything about its editorial spine. And then comes one of the boldest swings of the entire issue. We predict Greg Gagne will win the AWA title in 1977, a prediction that is not framed as a possibility, but as an inevitability, with implications that stretch beyond Greg himself and directly into the influence of Verne Gagne. And the article plants the seed that if the title does not change hands naturally, forces behind the scenes may ensure it happens anyway, which makes this less a prediction and more a warning shot. Scattered throughout the issue, the departments keep feeding that same energy, especially in Names Making News, where Bill Apter unloads a rapid-fire barrage of updates, rumors, confrontations, and territorial drama, touching on Ken Mantell's piledriver controversy, superstar Billy Graham's self-promotion tactics, Ric Flair's behavior around fans and cameras, and the ongoing political chess match inside the AWA. And if you love that feeling of flipping pages and seeing name after name jump out at you, this section is pure fuel. That energy peaks in Dan Shockett's body slams and pinfalls, an editorial that might be one of the most aggressive opinion pieces Inside Wrestling ever ran, where Shockett goes all in defending dangerous maneuvers like the piledriver, calling out so-called scientific wrestlers, blasting athletic commissions, and arguing that banning moves is nothing more than protecting incompetence at the expense of excitement. And whether you agree with him or not, the writing is unapologetic, fiery, and very much of its time. And I would love to know if this is the kind of column you missed today. So hit like if you enjoy when wrestling media actually takes a side. The issue also makes room for the fans themselves in Sincerely Yours, where readers react emotionally to recent stories, especially human interest pieces involving Mil Mascaras, showing that even in an era obsessed with toughness, vulnerability still resonated deeply, while On the Road with Michael B. Cape delivers one of the most quietly reflective moments of the issue, as Blackjack Lanza opens up about the cost of championship glory, admitting that holding a title brings responsibility, pressure, and doubt he never anticipated, which adds a layer of melancholy beneath all the bravado elsewhere. And woven through all of this are the ads, and you cannot talk about this issue without talking about the ads because they are a time capsule all their own. From muscle building devices promising massive gains in minutes, to Joe Weider offering mail order physiques, to self defense gadgets marketed with fear based copy, to home study courses, business opportunities, and back issue order forms that remind you these magazines were not just content, they were ecosystems selling strength, security, independence, and the fantasy of control in a chaotic world. And if you ever ordered one of these or just stared at them for hours, save this episode because this is the stuff you forget until you see it again. The centerpiece interview, Terry Funk on the hot seat, I've brought the NWA to its knees, pulls everything together, stripping away the usual wrestler rhetoric and pushing Funk into a no-escape environment where confidence borders on obsession, and by the time you reach the end of the issue, it is clear Inside Wrestling is not just reporting on the business, it is actively shaping the conversation around it, daring readers, wrestlers, and promoters alike to respond, and that is why this issue matters. Because it captures wrestling at a crossroads, where kayfabe, reality, ego, and vulnerability are all bleeding into one another, and whether you believed every word or not, you felt like you were being let in on something you were not supposed to see, and that feeling is exactly why magazines like this still matter decades later. If you enjoyed this trip back through Inside Wrestling, take a second and drop a comment telling me which story hit you the hardest. Whether it was Andre's Ultimatum, the Executioner's Mystery, or the Greg Gagne prediction, hit that like button if this kind of deep dive nostalgia is your thing. Share it with someone who still remembers flipping these pages, and subscribe so you do not miss the next issue, because there are a lot more secrets waiting in these magazines.